Everyone told him he'd never make it. The voices echoed in his mind, a constant chorus of doubt and discouragement. They said he wasn't smart enough, wasn't dedicated enough, wasn't cut out for the path he was trying to forge. These weren't just casual remarks, they were pronouncements delivered with the weight of expectation and the sting of judgment. For a long time, Rohan believed them. He internalized their negativity, letting it shape his self-perception and erode his confidence. The mirror reflected not his potential but their perceived limitations. He started questioning his abilities, his dreams, and his very worth. The weight of their words became a heavy burden, dragging him down into a pit of despair. He wore their expectations like a second-hand coat, a garment far too large and ill-fitting. It was a constant reminder of the person they wanted him to be, not the person he truly was. Each day felt like a struggle to carry the weight of their hopes and dreams, a burden that threatened to crush him under its immense pressure. Too big and frayed. The fabric of their expectations was worn thin, riddled with holes of doubt and insecurity. It offered no comfort, no warmth, only the constant chafing of unmet expectations and unfulfilled promises. The threads of his own aspirations were slowly unraveling, lost in the tangled mess of their demands. Supposed to be the golden boy, the pride of the family, the one who would achieve greatness and bring honor to their name. He was meant to be the embodiment of their aspirations, the shining example of success and achievement. The weight of this expectation was immense, a constant pressure to perform and excel, crack the exams, sail through the academic challenges with ease and grace. He was expected to ace every test, master every subject, and emerge as a top student, destined for greatness. The pressure to perform was relentless, a constant reminder of the high stakes and the potential for failure. Land the job, secure a prestigious position in a reputable company, a symbol of financial stability and professional success. He was expected to climb the corporate ladder, achieve a high level of status, and provide a comfortable life for himself and his family. Send money home, that was the script. The unspoken agreement, the implicit expectation that he would provide for his family, alleviate their financial burdens, and ensure their well-being. This was the ultimate measure of his success, the tangible proof of his worth. But scripts don't account for the actor, the individual with their own unique desires, aspirations, and limitations. They fail to recognize the complexities of human nature, the unpredictable twists and turns of life, and the inherent right to choose one's own path, realizing he's in the wrong play. The epiphany struck him with the force of a thunderbolt, a sudden and undeniable awareness that he was living a life that wasn't his own. He was merely playing a role, reciting lines that didn't resonate with his soul, and pursuing a destiny that wasn't meant for him. By his second year of college, the weight of expectations had become unbearable. The pressure turned campus into a suffocating maze. The once inviting halls now felt like narrow corridors, closing in on him with each passing day. The vibrant energy of student life was replaced by a sense of isolation and dread. He felt trapped, lost in a labyrinth of obligations and expectations. Numbers on the blackboard blurred. The complex equations and intricate theories seemed meaningless, irrelevant to his inner turmoil. The voice in his head screamed, a cacophony of self-doubt, anxiety, and despair. It was a constant reminder of his perceived inadequacies, his failures to meet expectations, and his inability to live up to the golden boy image. He started skipping classes, seeking refuge from the suffocating atmosphere of academic life, retreating from a life that felt alien. He distanced himself from friends, classmates, and even his own aspirations, seeking solace in solitude and anonymity. The world around him felt foreign, disconnected from his true self. Dropping out wasn't dramatic, no fiery speeches, no grand gestures of rebellion, just a slow, silent surrender, a gradual erosion of hope, a quiet acceptance of defeat. He simply let go, releasing the burden of expectations and relinquishing the pursuit of a life that wasn't his own. He packed a bag, a small collection of personal belongings, a physical representation of his retreat from the life he was expected to lead, left the books behind, symbols of a future he no longer desired, a path he could no longer follow, and took a bus home, a journey back to the place where it all began, a return to the familiar surroundings of his childhood, but also a confrontation with the expectations he had failed to meet. The disappointment in his parents' eyes was a heavy weight, a tangible manifestation of his failure to live up to their dreams, was worse than any scolding. Words could have been forgiven, but the silent disappointment cut deeper, a constant reminder of his perceived inadequacy. He became a ghost in his own home, an invisible presence, haunting the halls with his failure. a walking monument to failure. Every step he took was a reminder of his shortcomings, a constant burden of shame and regret. Neighbors whispered, their voices laced with judgment and pity, adding to the chorus of disapproval. Uncles offered pity disguised as advice, their words laced with condescension and a subtle reminder of his fallen status. Rohan shrank, becoming the cautionary tale of the neighborhood, a living example of what happens when you deviate from the prescribed path. He was the boy who had it all but threw it away, a symbol of wasted potential and unfulfilled promise. Poverty has a particular smell, a mix of dampness, kerosene, and hopelessness. After a fight with his father, Rohan left home with a few hundred rupees and a world of hurt. He ended up in a windowless room in a city chawl, the abyss. Depression wasn't a visitor, it was his roommate, keeping him in bed long after sunrise. He took odd jobs, washing dishes, delivering pamphlets, just to eat. The exhaustion was a distraction but temporary. He lost weight, became invisible even to himself. The lowest point came on a rainy Tuesday, fired from his job, soaked and broke at a leaking bus stop. The thought of letting the rain wash him away was seductive. This was the bottom. There was nowhere left to go but up, or over. The loudest voices were inside his head, a relentless chorus of disappointment and doubt. Every mistake replayed in excruciating detail, fueling his self-loathing. Even kindness felt like a trick. He couldn't accept positivity. The fear of judgment kept him small, hidden in menial jobs. The echo chamber was a fortress, keeping him prisoner but also, in a twisted way, safe. Change rarely announces itself with fanfare. It doesn't arrive with the dramatic flare of a thunderstorm, complete with booming thunder and flashes of lightning. More often it creeps in subtly, almost unnoticed, like a gentle breeze rustling through leaves. For Rohan, adrift in a sea of uncertainty, the catalyst for change wasn't a grand event, but something far more unassuming. A single drop. A tiny, almost insignificant moment that rippled outwards, altering the course of his life. That drop manifested as a dusty, often overlooked public library, a relic of a bygone era, nestled near his crowded chawl. Its weathered facade and slightly crooked sign were easy to ignore, easy to dismiss. One sweltering afternoon, seeking respite from the oppressive heat and the relentless sun beating down on the city, he stumbled inside, his intention purely utilitarian, a temporary escape from the elements. But what he found wasn't just a cool room, it was a sanctuary, a quiet refuge filled with the scent of aged paper and the hushed whispers of turning pages, a world away from the cacophony of the streets. Rows upon rows of yellowed books stood like silent sentinels, guarding stories waiting to be rediscovered. As he wandered through the aisles, a feeling long dormant began to stir within him. For the first time in months, perhaps even years, he felt a flicker of curiosity, a spark of interest in something beyond his immediate surroundings. He observed the other patrons, each lost in their own literary worlds, and felt a quiet, almost imperceptible connection to them. They were strangers, yet united by their shared love of reading. Here, within these walls, no one knew his past, no one judged him for his present. He was simply another reader, seeking solace and knowledge. Even the librarian, a woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile, offered a sense of peace, a balm to his weary soul. Her quiet understanding was a welcome change from the suspicion and judgment he had grown accustomed to. Drawn by an invisible force, he returned daily, seeking refuge in its comforting embrace. The library, once a mere building, was transforming into his haven, a sanctuary where he could escape the harsh realities of his life and lose himself in the boundless world of stories. After a week of quiet contemplation and tentative exploration, he decided to take a leap of faith. He applied for a library card. The process was surprisingly simple, devoid of the bureaucratic hurdles he had anticipated. No probing questions about his past, no demands for explanations. Just a form to fill out and his signature on the dotted line. That small act, that simple gesture of signing his name felt profound. It was more than just obtaining a card, it was reclaiming a piece of himself, a reaffirmation of his existence. That small act reclaimed his identity. With his new library card in hand, he felt a surge of possibility. He wandered through the shelves, his fingers trailing along the spines until he finally settled on a book of short stories. As he read, he was transported to faraway lands, escaping his grimy room and the confines of his reality for misty mountains, bustling bazaars and exotic locales. In the pages of these books he found companionship, solace, and a sense of belonging. Books became his friends, silent confidants who offered understanding and acceptance without judgment. They offered him new worlds to explore, new perspectives to consider, and new ways of seeing himself and the world around him. He read voraciously, devouring stories with an insatiable hunger. He explored fiction, losing himself in tales of love, loss, and adventure. He delved into poetry, finding beauty and meaning in carefully crafted words, and he immersed himself in biographies, learning about the lives and experiences of others. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, he was re-engaging his mind, awakening a part of himself that had long been dormant. He was thinking, analyzing, and questioning, rediscovering the joy of intellectual stimulation. The library card, that small piece of plastic, was more than just a means of borrowing books. It was a key, unlocking a door to a world of possibilities, a door he had long believed was sealed shut, forever out of reach. And with each book he read, with each new world he discovered, the first spark of hope, long extinguished, flickered back to life, promising a brighter future. The transition from reader to writer wasn't planned. It was an overflow. Stories from the chawl demanded to be told. One night he bought a cheap notebook and pen, staring at the blank page as old doubts returned. "Who do you think you are? A writer?" But a quieter voice whispered, "Just write one sentence." He wrote about the rain, not as despair, but as rhythm. The words flowed, clumsy at first, then with honesty. Writing became cathartic, a way to externalize pain and gain distance. He developed a routine: odd jobs by day, library in the afternoon, writing at night. He was rewriting his own narrative, one sentence at a time. A notebook of raw emotion isn't a career. The euphoria of writing faded, replaced by the daunting question, what now? Rohan studied his favorite books with a writer's eye, learning craft and structure. He bought a second-hand grammar book, studied plot and character. It was tedious, methodical work, building his dream brick by brick. He needed feedback, so he joined a local writers group. Sharing his work was terrifying, but he did it. The feedback was mixed, but he learned growth happens outside your comfort zone. There were no overnight transformations, just slow, grinding improvement. He faced setbacks, harsh criticism, and self-doubt. But each time he returned to the page, talent wasn't enough. It took work ethic and resilience. He was becoming a craftsman. After 2 years, Rohan had a manuscript, a raw, semi-autobiographical novel. Holding it was a moment of pride, but publication was a new, brutal race. He sent it to publishers and agents, spending his savings on postage. The rejections came, first a few, then dozens. Each one chipped away at his confidence. The echo chamber of doubt returned. Over 50 rejections later, he put the manuscript in a box and stopped writing. Was it all a waste? Should he give up? The mountain of rejection seemed insurmountable. The emotional toll dragged him back toward the abyss. This was his ultimate test, not writing the book, but believing in it when no one else did. His faith was hanging by a thread. But the story wasn't over. Just as hope faded, a small publisher emailed him. It wasn't a form letter, it was from Priya, a junior editor. She wrote, "I couldn't put your manuscript down, it's raw, powerful, and honest." That email was a lifeline, a single voice of validation. He met Priya, who saw potential where others saw flaws. The publisher was small, the contract modest, but he had a champion. Months of edits followed, frustrating but collaborative. For the first time, he wasn't alone in his struggle. He learned to take criticism, to see his book as something for others, not just himself. The day the book was published, there was no grand launch, just a quiet release. Rohan saw his book on a shelf, the weight of it both heavy and light. He had turned pain and hope into something real. In that moment, he knew he had already won. The book, Echoes from the Alley, a title that now resonates with readers across the nation, wasn't an instant phenomenon. It didn't explode onto the scene with a flurry of publicity or a wave of immediate critical acclaim. It didn't become a sensation overnight. Its journey to success was a slow burn, a testament to the power of perseverance and the enduring appeal of an authentic story. It found its audience slowly, students drawn to its themes of identity and belonging, bloggers who championed its unique voice and compelling narrative, book clubs, where lively discussions dissected its complex characters and thought-provoking themes. A critic in a prominent literary journal called it the most honest debut of the year, praising its raw emotion and unflinching portrayal of human experience. Eventually, after months of steady growth and positive word of mouth, it hit the national bestseller list, a validation of Rohan's talent and the power of his story. But the real victory, the true measure of Rohan's achievement, was not in the accolades or the sales figures, but in the small choices. The library card he obtained as a child, a gateway to countless worlds and endless possibilities, the first sentence he painstakingly crafted, a spark that ignited a creative fire, showing up to the writer's group, despite his fear of criticism and self-doubt, sending the manuscript again and again, after 50 rejections, each one a painful reminder of his perceived inadequacy. Comebacks, both in writing and in life, are rarely the result of grand gestures or sudden breakthroughs. They are built on small, consistent choices, made day after day, fueled by unwavering determination. Now, years later, Rohan stands before packed lecture halls, sharing his story and inspiring the next generation of writers. He tells students, it's okay to feel lost. It's a natural part of the creative process, a necessary step on the path to self-discovery. Failure is not a dead end, but a detour, an unexpected turn that can lead you to even greater opportunities and a deeper understanding of yourself. It's a detour, not a destination. Find your own sanctuary, a quiet space where you can connect with your inner voice and nurture your creativity. Start small, with a single sentence, a single paragraph, a single page. Celebrate tiny wins, acknowledge your progress, and allow yourself to feel proud of every step you take, no matter how small. Your past, with all its mistakes and regrets, doesn't define your future. It's simply a chapter in your story, not the entire book. You are the author of your own life, with the power to shape your destiny and create a future filled with purpose and meaning. There will inevitably be chapters of pain and doubt, moments of darkness and despair that test your resolve and challenge your spirit, but the story isn't over until the final page is written. Keep writing, keep creating, keep believing in yourself, even when it feels impossible. For anyone on their own ledge, teetering on the brink of giving up, feeling lost and hopeless, Rohan's journey, his remarkable transformation from struggling writer to best-selling author, proves that it's never too late to rewrite your story, to reinvent yourself, and to create a life filled with purpose and joy. The pen is always in your hand, waiting to write the next chapter of your life.